Welcome to Journeys on wolfspirit.tv, wolfspiritradio.com, and Ever Beyond Radio. Let's journey into the unknown today with Rebecca and JP, your tour guides into the unknown. Good afternoon. Let me just stop the screen share. There we go. And bring myself up. Good afternoon, everybody. This is JP, and this is Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
Hi, how are you? How is everyone today? This is a beautiful day. It's Monday, October 26th, 2015. I had a thing with time this week and day and month and year. It is what it is, eh? There you go.
It is, as you say, it is what it is. And yeah, so this is what we want to do is a bit of a kind of pilot to kind of see how this thing works. We're simulcasting on Wolf Spirit Radio. We've got Google Plus on the other side. You'll be able to pick this show up on wolfspirit.tv. It should come up on the front page. There's a link to it. At least it's the latest. I think it says Journeys. So what we wanted to do was just to do a little sample taster, maybe about half an hour. I don't know how long we'll be going with this, but we'll take a few moments and we'll be talking about some of the stuff that we want to talk about on TV, that we want to talk about where we can show things on a video screen. If I can put an insert up on here or something like that. So it kind of takes our regular radio shows and brings that into a much larger context. So, Rebecca, how are you doing?
You know what? I'm doing absolutely well. I'd like to just kind of cut right to the chase. I think you've already said a lot of what needed to be said there with as far as what, kind of what we're doing. I'm going to take this a little bit further. Doing the radio shows for as long as I have, and TV, and prior to that, television, from regular terrestrial television, I guess you could call it, days, and my days of teaching to live classes as opposed to, the new way of doing it now, which is the online thing. To the most recent events, I've had a lot of people that have come forward, and some of the things that I've noticed that I would love to drill down and get really very specific information to people is the do's and don'ts of channeling. That's one of the things that I really, really, really specifically want to take some time and talk about. Again, this show is going to be more of a presentation of the topics that we're going to be covering in the weeks ahead. And then from there, we're going to build into actual teaching classes, which we'll be doing in a webinar type of format. So the do's and don'ts of channeling probably would not be one of those things that would be done as a classroom kind of a webinar thing, but more or less is just on this particular format as a point of sharing for people. And what that do's and don'ts of channeling is going to represent is some self-policing, responsibility to self and others for the information that you get when you're channeling, during channeling, before you channel, and what happens after you start channeling. There's a lot of different instances, very specific information, instances of information that I will be presenting on actual people that have come to me with different concerns, questions on the do's and don'ts of channeling. So I'm going to cover that in one of the shows. And certainly we hope that there will be questions too along with these things as well, and the ones that won't be turned into the webinar formats, and we'll try to present that in the beginning of the format as opposed to waiting until, well, yeah, we're going to do a class on it. It'll be like, this show is only going to be about this and this topic today, and there will be no follow-up as far as webinars are concerned or teaching classes. The next thing that I want to get into is also about current timelines and the events that take place. Again, relating a story to you earlier today about people that have come to me in the past with very specific concerns, in this case, about different timeline events that would happen in the now time or in the very near future. Again, it kind of goes into the responsibility to self and others with the information that goes along with channeling, as well as what happens when somebody tells you a certain event is going to happen, whether that be from a psychic intuitive or whether that be from a mainstream media source. Seriously, it doesn't matter. We're going to apply it in a very real way to this reality that we're currently residing in. All of us are sharing space in. The other thing that I will be getting into is also a little bit of meditation. And as an added note here, I do offer 5 different meditations free of charge on my website. It's kind of one of those things. It's in the store page on my website, but it's free. You don't have to pay for it because I don't know where else to put it. I don't have just a free stuff page. I guess I should sort it out, but it is under the store page link under journeyswithrebecca.com. There are 5 separate ones in there, separate meditation exercises, and it starts out with a breathing technique and it goes on from there. And then I've got one more thing that I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to turn it over to you with some of the things that you're going to be talking about. The next thing is if there's enough interest, I would love to do a series of webinars on Tarot, the intuitive approach. I'd like to be able to present that in a video format where everybody that participates in it will have a copy of the book with them. And we will go through it just like I used to go through it in a live class setting, but only it'll be in a video class setting. So that means that everybody that would participate would also have to have video so that I can see what they're doing. They can see what I'm doing. This helps to bridge the gap of what we would call distance. You know, somebody in California can certainly, tune in, as well as somebody from India or somebody from Michigan or somebody from Florida. They don't have to be local residents only, which is what I used to draw on, was the local residents in Kansas City area. I used to do a lot of these classes. I want to kind of just toot my own horn here for just a moment. One of the things that I did is after I put together the class, I put together the book after the class, that I had more than a handful of readers that left my class that became professional readers themselves. They were my students that became professional readers in there. That's what they currently do for a living, is to do tarot readings for people based on my facilitation of the information on tarot. So we get into the history, we get into also meditation. There will be a list of things that people will need to do to prepare for this. So this will be one of those very well publicized events, so that you would have plenty of time to get the resources that you need, which is, 1 is a tarot deck, and 2 is the book. And anybody that does not have a Kindle, because that's currently the only way it's available is through Amazon, I do have that for sale. That I can send you a PDF copy of the book. It's not obviously going to be as pretty as it is when you get it the other way, but I do have a PDF copy available of the book, Tarot, the Intuitive Approach. Anybody that's interested can write me, email me, and that'd be Rebecca@journeyswithrebecca.com, and put Tarot book in the subject line. We can begin communication that way. And I will be repeating this information in future reference shows before we actually get into the classes. And then there's some significant other webinars that I'll be doing later. These are just the ones right now. This is just the one right now that came to pass, because I'm also doing a lot of different classes that will go along with the timeline. I'm also going to be doing some channeling myself, something I don't do publicly very often. It's a rare event. My next one is, I hope you don't mind, JP, I do want to tell people that November 8th is my first session in 5 years of the session with the Elohim on November 8th. I'm sorry, did I say November 8th? I think that's right. Let me double check that information. I think it's November 8th. I'll be doing, yes, November 8th at 12 noon Central Time, session with the Elohim. You can get to that on my events page for classes and events at journeyswithrebecca.com. It is a very rare event. There's some very specific topics that they will be talking about, but they love, 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 love questions. We hope that you'll bring the questions forward. It will be available if you can't attend the live event. It will be available later, also as a pay-per-view kind of an event later on after the live event is over. But we sure would love to have you join the live event. JP has been privy to the Elohim frequently, and they can be quite mesmerizing even for me, and I've been with them for 60 years now. Or should I say they've been with me for 60 years. They've always been around. I'm the one that's kind of newbie here. So that being said, I think that's it for me for the moment. JP, we've got a lot of things that you and I are concocting. We're brainstorming about that we're wanting to present to people in the form of webinars, as well as this particular informational show that we'll be doing on Mondays. And I will be posting some additional information to my website as well, so people can tune into this as well.
Excellent. Thank you so much. You know, I've got quite a full schedule on Monday evenings, and I have, of course, the Revolution Radio Journeys show that I kind of took over from you several years ago, and then
many years ago now.
Carrying it. Still, you know, if you want to come on, you know, you have absolute privilege to kind of just say, I want to come on, and you can just step in and enjoy it. So that would be great if you ever did want to do that. The things now, what I was wanting to teach. Oh, sorry, I've just dropped my little monolith. Oh, actually, now on video, I can show these things. I should show my little toys. Where are we? Up here. This is made by Walt Silver, and it's made of it's a Shungite resin, and it's exactly the right proportions for the monolith from 2001. I gave him the specific dimensions, so it's this little thing, and it contains what's called S4 Shungite. It's superconducting, it's super this, it's got silver, colloidal silver mixed into it, and all sorts of clever things. Those of you who remember 2001 will remember that the screen was this shape. Yes, it was this shape. Anyhow.
It was. I remember.
Yeah. I remember like thinking, oh, the screen's a long, wide shape, isn't it? That's a funny shape. But it didn't connect with me until I heard from Jay Widener, who says, yes, the monolith appears several times, including all the way through it as the thing, which, by the way, are now the proportions are 1 by 4 by 9. And that's 1 squared by 2 squared by 3 squared. You see, 1, 2, 3 squared. So anyway, yeah, this is a beautiful little device. It's I use it like it's like I call it my quantum cell phone, because it's all Shungite is quantum connected with all other Shungite. So anybody who's got Shungite you can establish some sort of telepathic or healing connection if needs be. Because that's one of the things we want to do, is be able to connect psychically with people who are calling in and asking for help with their issues and things like that. And this is, you know, this is what I was saying off the air a few years ago. We were. Well, 5 years ago, you know, I was just learning about this stuff, and I thought, oh, how special it would be to, you know, be able to read psychic things and all that stuff, and talk to ghosts and business like that. And you know, now 5 years later, it seems to be I'm talking to ghosts, and I'm speaking with people across the internet, which is it's almost better than being in the same room as them. Because somehow you can kind of almost get underneath and inside, and like, for instance, earlier on, I was complaining of a headache, and you said, okay, sit still for a little while, and I could feel, you know, things moving around inside my skull, and I kind of opened my eyes and I saw your hand, and it was kind of doing things. And you were giving me some key chi energy patterns there.
I was actually
And
manipulating the energetics that I saw around you and what was creating the headache.
it's amazing what
I was, yeah, I was
yeah.
able to decipher the difference between that and the other energetics that was naturally flowing around you.
Hmm.
Makes sense?
Yes, and indeed that brings us to another thing that is going on right now for everybody, which is oops, you disappeared. which is the which is the wave X or planet X or Nibiru or the photon belt or this or that. There's several things that are happening at the same time. They call it the planet of the crossing. Perhaps wave X is crossing planet X, and the two X's make an X or a cross. You know, who knows? What's your opinion with these issues at the moment? And in terms of what we're talking about, how can how are we going to be able to help people who are going through these processes, because we're going through them as well, you see?
Well, really the only way to help somebody is to educate them, right? And to give them the tools that they need to traverse the changes. To years and years and years, I think you called this the new normal, right? That's what I called it years ago, is the new normal. The new normal is the energetics are going to constantly and consistently shift and change and become different. So every day you can't wake up thinking today is just another day, because it's not. It's a different day. Every day is different. So every day you have an opportunity and the challenge to learn and to be able to traverse through all the shifting that's happening and all the changes that are happening energetically. Whatever happens out in space affects us here in the earth and vice versa. We're all interconnected. I mean, everything is interconnected and is connected by energy or light signals or frequencies or resonance fields. There's so many different terminologies that people use, and what they understand is an entirely individual journey, right? But anything that's moving through our solar system is going to bring some difference and change that can be felt by those that are energy sensitive. I just did a class for empaths on this, and I'm just getting ready to do another one on November 15th. I just looked at my website, and it's the wrong date is on there, and I don't know why. It looks like it got messed up somewhere, but the date is actually November 15th. I'm doing another class on empaths and energy work. And it's specifically designed to help people individually be able to understand how do they operate, what triggers them, what's setting them off, what's bringing a pressure, what's making them feel chaotic. And until you can learn how you react and how you can absorb, or how you can better understand how you are personally affected by energy, there's nothing you can do unless you understand it first. And that means understanding self, because you're going to react differently to these energetics than I will. Our DNA structure is totally different from each other. It's similar, but what triggers you won't trigger me, and vice versa. So this is about an individualized class. Even though there's 6 people, that's the maximum I allow in these classes. Each one is going to get an individual tool, a piece of the puzzle of them, for their own exploration on how can they help themselves. Because you can't have somebody helping you all the time, because then you will never learn. You have to figure it out, because you're going to be by yourself, right? So you have to figure out how to traverse all these energetics. So all this stuff that's happening out in that solar system is affecting us. To what level, to what degree, and to what extreme challenges is really up to the unique individual, because of the unique signatures that we all carry.
This is something we're all going to need right now, is guidance. It's like, I was thinking while you're talking, when sorry, Just bring my camera on. I can't remember how to stop it from not doing it or not automatic. Anyway, I'm sorry. Um, but we know we have ears and we hear with our ears. We know we have a mouth and we breathe in and out. And we eat and kiss and do all these things with our mouth. There are other
sensory
sense organs, yes, that we have for these things. One of them, I believe, is hair. That's why I got long, straggly hair. It's a antenna for these kind of energies. Do you want to talk a little bit about in your classes? Will you be discussing these sensoria, these sensorium, the sense organs, as it were?
In a general format, when I begin these classes in a general format, it is discussed. It is discussed how the energetics from everything is you're a receptor and a receiver. I'm sorry, a receiver and a transmitter both. It's an invisible field, but that's I do cover that when I begin these, this particular class about that. And I allow each person to kind of give me a scenario of what is a particular situation that they're uncomfortable with, what in their life seems to trigger them, right? And it's so diverse, it's so fascinating. I had people that were very rural, lived out in the country, to people that literally lived in New York City on subways and what triggers them. And in each situation, the energetics in your geographical location, your sensory perceptions are going to be different because of your environment that you're currently living in. So to answer that as a specific question is a little difficult, because we're constantly receiving and sending signals. It's like you can go into a room and you may not say nothing and I may not say nothing, and we walk into the room, maybe the room is darkened, we can't see each other, but we sense somebody else's presence in the room with us. Our eyes are not seeing that. We're not making any noise, so our ears are not hearing that. So somewhere we're sending a signal that there's somebody else standing in that room with us. Somewhere we're receiving the signal that somebody knows that we're in that room with them as well. I mean, you see all the different layers that can happen. The eyes aren't looking. You can't smell each other. You can't hear each other, but you absolutely know there's somebody else in that room with you. So that would be a physical form, which is you and me standing in this room. Same thing happens though when you are talking about spirit entities. You can get the same sort of impression that somebody's in the room with you. It's not going to feel like a human being in that room of blood and flesh, right? But your sensory perceptions that are active all of the time, whether you're aware of them or not, will tell you whether or not there's somebody in that room with you, or more than one, or whether it's got good intentions or negative intentions. So I do cover some of that in the class, but the class is more built not to just as a general education, but it also gets more into the specific individual personal needs, and they all go away with tools, specific exercises, different way of looking at things, and opening a better understanding of who they are individually so that they can work on these things and then take their next step, whatever that is for them, to continue to grow and build that understanding of that sensory level that they're at.
Good, thank you. So it's an interesting journey, because it's like learning that we got new arms and legs and noses and ears and stuff, and what, just as an example of how things might come across, because it's subtle and it's unique for everybody. So for instance, when I'm here in my house and I've got my I got my I got these ghosts in the house, right? And I sensed a sense of gloom. And one of the things I noticed is that, I have pine things. We're in Scotland, everything's got pine in it. And in my bathroom, there's a sort of pine slat work that is the lower half of the wall. And in the pine are knots. Now, of course, you see one knot, there's just a circle. But when you have two knots together, it starts looking a little like a face. Now, most of the time, I don't notice these things. But when there's an entity around, I'm drawn to see eyes in these little knots of the wood. And that's how I know that I've got to go and do some processing and get them passed on. Because basically, it's like a waiting room. My house is like a kind of ghostly waiting room, waiting for them to pass on through the portal. But they have to go through me somehow. I don't know why. Maybe one day I'll find out about this stuff. But they need passing on, and they come and they wait, and they appear as sort of two knots, two eyes in the wood. You ever have that? You probably see faces.
I see pictures, I see visions. Yes, I mean, not always do I get to see um, a visual to go with uh, the understanding, but it's rare, but it's not always followed with a visual. Sometimes it's followed with just a sense of knowing and an understanding of what's there and intention and et cetera and so forth without the visual. Sometimes I can hear them. Sometimes they speak to me. Yeah. So, I mean, again, whatever is joining me, JP, I'm also subject to how I perceive them based on um, what signals are being triggered, sensory perceptions are being triggered on what level within me. If something is being deceptive, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for me to ascertain everything about them that I would if somebody was just going to show up and unabashedly or, say, hey, here I am, kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
So yeah, it was and this is going to link in with, I think, part of the seminars and webinars that we're going to be doing in the future. Is we're all going to be subject to this stuff. We're all going to be seeing more and more psychism, activity, paranormal stuff as the veils thin. And I think that what we're going to be able to do is give people tools just a little bit ahead of time so that they can deal with these things. For instance, people might think, well, what can a ghost do to me? Ghosts can't hurt me or anything, can they? We don't know. There's a lot of unknown about it, and there's too many bloody films that show a psychic entity taking someone over and completely destroying them, which is obviously not actually true. In 99% of the cases, there's probably one or two times when it is true, but most of the time, people suffer from their own fear rather than any entity that has been hassling them.
Yeah, well, I would agree. I would agree. And, getting into that field of the paranormal aspect of it, I mean, there is just a ton of information that I can share on that. I used to, gosh, there's just not much I haven't done. I stop and think about it.
You've got such experience, and that's what's marvelous, Rebecca, because you've got such experience that goes from the mainstream media to alternative media to local, all the levels that you could communicate with different people on a psychic level. You've got experience of, and that's brilliant.
Well, thank you for that, JP. The paranormal world is an interesting world. The ghost hunters and the demonologists and all of those people that do all those ghost hunting shows and et cetera and so forth. And I used to go into people's houses to do clearings, what I would call clearings, and I knew what kind of spirits were there and whether they were good or they were bad. And if they were bad, we banished them or got rid of them, or how to claim property as your own, or how to send something before you purchase property. I mean, I've worked with all the gamuts of that so that you can understand whether or not that property is something that you can resonate within, and whether or not it's something that, you know, is from the land itself. Because there's just some things you can't get rid of. I mean, it's just not a possibility to get rid of it, at least to the level of which most people can get rid of it. I mean, there's just very few, but there are some that you just cannot do anything about. So you're better off to not subject yourself to such things to begin with, as opposed to trying to get rid of it later, thinking, oh, well, you know, I can make this go away. Not always. And, you know, not all ghosts are friendly. Not all ghosts are unfriendly. What's the difference between a ghost, and what's the difference between residual energy, and what's the difference between, you know, a poltergeist and paranormal activity and all this stuff? Again, that could be, you know, several shows. If people are interested in learning about that, absolutely would love to have conversation and communication on those, you know, in the specific topics. Absolutely.
That's great because you know, we've got this is a whole new medium, and it's got. I know it's a whole new medium. Oh yeah, TV. I've just discovered TV. Very good. No, but it's it's a whole new medium that we're being given ease of access to. Let's put it that way. You know, what did it take? Maybe about 10 to 20 minutes to set this call up,
Right.
and then it becomes a YouTube, and then anybody can watch it on the planet. So that's pretty good. You know,
That's really good, isn't it?
yeah. You just have to get the right keywords, and people will come. You know, Andromedan is a really good one.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Andromedan really gets to people. So if you want a keyword, your perfume, you know, just call it Andromedan. Andromedan, new fragrance from Barrel Fragrances.
There you go. Gotta love that.
Shungite in it.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
So yeah, so great ideas. I hope you know. Well, we can always go back and watch this video. Oh yeah, that's what we're going to be doing next week. You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I've been trying to make some notes here while we've been chatting. I don't know if we'll actually, you know, if I'll actually remember to look at it. But yes, I have been taking notes.
I'm sure somebody else is taking notes. Vanessa, I bet she's taking notes. She's always taking notes. So big shout out to the to our viewers as well as our listeners. This is Journeys with JP and Rebecca Jernigan. We're trying this out. It's just the first time we've done this just on our own. We have a show on Project Camelot, but there we have to wear uniforms and march up and down and things. But here we can wear our pajamas and just drink cups of tea and be very informal. So this is the informal Monday show maybe. In about 40 minutes, I'm going to be producing Strange Universe on Rev Radio, and then I'll be doing Journeys at 5 PST. British time is completely screwed up at the moment. It's now 9:15. It's everything's an hour out between America and UK. It's what I call Nightmare Week, and everything will be back to normal next week. So ghost hunting or ghost entity cleansing. Yeah, there are many reasons why you have these residual energies that exist in houses, and also, as I've discovered, that can also wander around and they follow people. I have friends. Friend comes along in a bit of a sad mood, and when they go away, I'm still not alone, and go to the bathroom. Oh look, there's some eyes. So, that's happened. That's happened.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I cleansed this house. I emptied it of entities, and and then more started arriving. It was like, oh, you can see us, can you? All right. And then it turns out that I get this amazing one, and her name was Elizabeth Warren.
Oh my, interesting.
Yeah. And she was the brightest spark I've ever spoken to. You know, and
Oh,
in all of these times, most of the time you talk to a ghost and it's like, hello, hello, ooh, kind of very dopey. They're very sleepy, dopey. But this one was bright as a button, and she was fully aware of everything that she'd done to get her in the place where she was, and how she got killed. And it was brutal, and she understood it all, and she'd come to terms with it all. And she was still a wandering ghost. And of course, I thought, well, there's one thing you haven't done. She said, what's that? So I said, you haven't forgiven yourself.
oh, bless her heart.
Bless her heart. And as soon as that happened, this it's like, I like to describe it as a shell almost made of meringue. It's so delicate, and light, but it's still enough to imprison a soul.
Well,
And
yes,
and so when that realization is made, this thing just shatters into powder,
right.
and they, like a little light breeze, away they go.
Sometimes they just need some help and understanding. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I know we're looking forward to some more of these. So um, next Monday at 3 p.m. Central Time, and we're going off of daylight savings time back on to Central Standard Time. I think next week. So my week next week will be all jacked up. So hopefully we'll get here on time. I think all of our country goes back on the standard time as opposed to getting off the daylight time.
Yep.
So, but we'll still be back here at 3 p.m. Central Time. It'll be 4 p.m. Eastern Time, and it will be 1 p.m. Pacific Time for those of you who care. And we're going to start our conversations. And if anyone would like to, uh, you know, touch base with JP, myself, or both of us, as they kind of listen to the beginning of this to see where they wanted us to start with first, I'd be happy to receive emails at journeyswithrebecca@yahoo.com for this special Monday presentation that we'll be doing. Um, and JP, where would you like for them to contact you, if at all, about what they might, or just send them all through me? What would you think?
Well, you can connect with me at jp@wallspiritradio.com. That's the easiest way to get to me.
Okay,
That's actually
great.
an email that I look at, as opposed to like the 20 that just receive spam these
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
So
pretty
there
much.
you go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
And I am so
excellent.
looking forward to, really getting into some of these things, certainly with you. And I know we're going to also be talking about the seven rays and the evolutionary process of the rays as it relates to the individual person. And I know you are also going to be doing webinars on that as well. So
Yep.
we're also going to have that. So there's a lot of wonderful treats coming up for people, a lot of very specific pieces of information. Much of it is for free, and some of it will be in a webinar form that we will certainly post everyone, and I will be posting this information on my website, as well as JP will be posting it on the various websites for him, and I will also be talking about it on my shows on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on Project Camelot TV network. So thank you again, JP, and I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun, just to have dialogue with people, and we hope you bring your questions and bring yourselves, and so that we can have these conversations. It'd be lovely to share.
So let's see. No, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. Stop that. So I'm trying to do a Journey's outro, but I can't damn well find one. So here we go. I'm just going to play this. Good night, everybody.